Alright, settle in everyone, because I've got a story for you that is so wild, so unbelievable. You're going to think I made it up, but I promise every word is mostly true. It all started on a Monday morning, which, as we all know, is already a recipe for disaster. The sky was gray, the air was chilly, and my backpack felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Why? Because it contained the most dreaded, most monstrous creation known to student kind, the weekend homework packet. This wasn't just any homework. Oh no. This was the final project for Mr. Harrison's Mysteries of the Universe class. We had to build a model of the solar system, write a 10-page report on black holes, and solve a page of physics equations so complicated they looked like an alien language. I'd spent my entire weekend wrestling with it. My fingers were stained with paint from making a lopsided Saturn, and my brain was full of useless facts about nebulae. But it was done. It was complete. And it was sitting right there, in a big, fat, manila folder inside my backpack. I trudged into school, dropped my bag by my desk in homeroom, and went to grab a book from the shelf. Everything seemed normal. The clock was ticking, kids were whispering about their weekends, and the smell of chalk and floor cleaner filled the air. But then, it happened. A sudden gust of wind. Out of nowhere, the classroom window, which was supposedly locked, slammed open. Papers flew everywhere. Pencils rolled off desks. It was like a mini tornado decided to pay our classroom a visit. When the chaos settled, I looked over at my backpack. It was different. It looked deflated. A sick feeling started to bubble up in my stomach. I walked over and unzipped the main compartment. My heart dropped. The big, fat, manila folder was gone. My science project, my 10-page report, my impossible equations, all of it had vanished. My homework had run away. I frantically started searching. Under my desk, under my friend Sam's desk, even inside the trash can, nothing. I was starting to panic. Mr. Harrison was not known for his understanding nature when it came to missing assignments. He once gave a kid detention for forgetting to dot an I. Losing an entire final project? That was grounds for being launched directly into a real black hole. Sam saw the look on my face. "What's wrong? You look like you just saw a ghost," I whispered. "Worse. My homework. It's gone." Sam, being the good friend he is, immediately joined the search party. We crawled on the floor, our hands getting dusty, peering under every desk and chair. But it was no use. The folder was nowhere to be found. It had simply ceased to exist. Just as I was about to give up and accept my fate, I heard a strange rustling sound coming from the hallway. It was a faint, crinkling noise, a paper-wise sound. I peeked out the door, and that's when I saw it. At the far end of the hall, turning the corner, was a flash of manila yellow. It couldn't be, but it was. My homework folder was moving. On its own, without a second thought, I took off running. "It's alive!" I yelled back to Sam, who just stared at me with wide eyes. I sprinted down the hallway, my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum floor. The folder was surprisingly fast. It skittered along the ground, hugging the wall like a secret agent. It slid past the principal's office, dodged a janitor's cart, and then disarmed. It slipped right under the door of the teacher's lounge. The teacher's lounge was a forbidden zone, a mysterious place where teachers went to drink coffee and probably talk about how to make our lives more difficult. No student had ever entered and returned to tell the tale. I skidded to a halt in front of the door, my heart pounding. This was it. This was the point of no return. I had to go in. I took a deep breath, turned the handle, and slowly pushed the door open. The room was empty, thank goodness, but the scene inside was one of pure chaos. Crumpled papers were everywhere. It looked like a paper shredder had exploded, and in the middle of it all, I saw my folder. It was propped up against a coffee machine, and it was vibrating. As I got closer, I realized the truth. My folder wasn't alive. It had been caught in the cross breeze between the classroom window and an open vent in the hallway. The air currents had carried it on a grand adventure, and now the vibrations from the ancient, gurgling coffee machine were making it shake. It wasn't running away. It was just going with the flow. Relief washed over me. I crept into the room, tiptoeing like a cat. I snatched the folder from its resting place, clutching it to my chest like a long-lost treasure. I had it. It was safe! But just as I turned to leave, the door to the lounge swung open, and there, standing in the doorway with a steaming mug in her hand, was Ms. Davison, the scariest math teacher in the entire school. Her eyes narrowed. "And what, may I ask, are you doing in here?" she asked, her voice as cold as absolute zero. I froze. My mind went blank. I couldn't just say, "Oh, my homework ran away and I had to chase it in here." She'd think I was crazy. So I did, the only thing I could think of. I held up the folder and said, with as much confidence as I could muster, "I was just, delivering this for Mr. Harrison. It's top secret." Miss Davison raised an eyebrow. She stared at me, then at the folder, then back at me. I was pretty sure she could see right through my terrible lie. This was it. Detention for a month, at least. But then, something amazing happened. She just sighed, shook her head, and said, "All right then. Just don't make a habit of it." She stepped aside and let me pass. I had survived. I practically floated back to my classroom, the folder held tightly in my hands. Sam looked at me, his jaw on the floor. "You're back! And you have it!" What happened? I just grinned and slid the folder back into my backpack, zipping it up tight this time. "Let us just say my homework wanted to go on a little adventure before it got graded," I said, when the bell rang for first period. I walked into Mr. Harrison's class with a newfound sense of accomplishment. I hadn't just done the homework. I had rescued it. I had faced down an open window, a mysterious hallway, and the dreaded teacher's lounge. I confidently walked to the front of the room and placed the folder on his desk. It landed with a satisfying thud. Mr. Harrison looked up from his papers. "Ah, the final project," he said, picking it up. He opened the folder and a small, crumpled leaf fell out, a souvenir from its journey through the school's ventilation system. He looked at the leaf, then at me. I held my breath. He just brushed it off, nodded, and said, "Good. On time, as expected." He had no idea. He had no idea of the epic quest, the harrowing chase, the sheer bravery it took to get that folder onto his desk. And you know what? That was okay. As I walked back to my seat, I couldn't help but smile. My homework might have tried to escape, but I was smarter. I was faster. And from that day on, I made sure to always put a heavy textbook on top of my backpack, just in case. So, if your homework ever looks like it's trying to make a run for it, just remember my story. Sometimes, the greatest adventures happen when you least expect them, even inside the boring old halls of your school. Thanks for listening to my crazy story. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more tailies, and maybe check your own backpack. You never know what's plotting an escape in there. See you next time!